Welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart, a podcast about mental health, resilience, and finding hope in the midst of adversity. I'm MommaFoxFire, and I am honored to have you on this journey towards knowledge, healing, and personal growth. You may have picked up on a change there. I am so excited to announce a rebrand of this podcast and live show to Even Tacos Fall Apart, from Words to Your Mother. The intent of the show has not changed. We are still here to talk openly and honestly. The goal is still to normalize mental health conversations. We are still going to be having live conversations on Twitch with actual mental health professionals and real people with a journey to share. This rebrand does not change any of that. We all know life can be messy and unpredictable, and sometimes it feels like even the simplest things can fall apart. But I believe that our struggles and hardships can be opportunities for growth and transformation. With Even Tacos Fall Apart and the Fox Fam community, I am aiming to create a safe and supportive space for anyone who's struggling with mental health issues or looking for ways to build resilience in the face of challenges, expand their mind and knowledge, and even offer their support to others during times of strength. Each episode, I'll be joined by a guest who either works in the mental health space or has personal experience with mental health struggles, chronic pain, or who has faced and overcome adversity in some way. Together, we will share stories of hope and resilience. We'll also provide practical tips and strategies for coping with stress, anxiety, depression, and other common mental health issues. So whether you're facing a difficult time or just looking for inspiration to keep going, I invite you to join me on this journey. Because even when life falls apart, there's always hope for a better tomorrow. I'm also thrilled to announce that I have built a website with so much information, resources, links, and more. Visit tacosfallapart.org and check out the mental health resources, read through the frequently asked questions, find other ways to connect with me and get involved in the Fox Fam community, or browse through past guests on the show to find their bios, links to their episodes, and an overview of what we talked about and when. You can also use this site to provide feedback or reach out to be a featured guest yourself. That present day update is such a positive reflection of the community's growth and direction, but I do want to take a step back to the origins of this community, because that's something that I don't think I've talked about in a long time on stream, and I don't think I've ever talked about it in a dedicated manner at all on the podcast. When I started streaming on Twitch in 2018, it was just to entertain my friends who I was already gaming with regularly after going through some really hard things in my life. The more I talked, sometimes loudly, over the games that I was playing, the more I realized I wasn't alone. The more I realized I was surrounded by people who were surviving their own journeys in life. The more I realized if I share, others say, hey, me too, about a host of things that we just don't talk about most of the time. Things like postpartum depression, anxiety, complex PTSD, grief, abuse, and so much more. So in 2019, I started holding Mental Health Monday and Wellbeing Wednesday streams on Twitch, where I would research something and then talk it through with people in the chat live. I realized at that point that people had way more questions than I could answer as a mental health advocate. So I reached out to a couple of folks and started hosting Mental Health Monday interviews with actual mental health professionals. I decided to step up and own my own story in a way I hadn't before. I embraced the community springing up around me and decided to really provide some infrastructure and build it out from a place of love and kindness. That's where our Discord was born from. I was so nervous to start my own Discord. Up to that point, I had been part of a community Discord with multiple streamers, and fear of failure and even imposter syndrome kicked in hard. But I had lovely humans providing encouragement. Shout out specifically to Bitemark, Fiona Fears, Alpha Moore, and others for helping with the development and refinement and testing of that Discord and their ongoing and unwavering support since the very beginning. It truly felt organic to shift to a space with better focus on both gaming and mental health. I had already been archiving the live shows via highlights on Twitch. So when someone suggested I start publishing them as a podcast, I decided to give it a go. At the same time, I started posting them to YouTube. I don't know if anyone realizes this, but it is work to edit those. On top of having a full-time job, in fact, it proved to be too much work for me. So I was not very consistent with publishing, aside from the Every Monday live show, but I enjoyed doing it when I could. Fast forward a little bit to 2021, I had many guests cancel shows due to COVID and other illnesses, and I got really discouraged and decided to put a pause on the show and the podcast because it was draining me. In 2022, I was able to move myself and the kids down to be closer to my family on the heels of finally getting a divorce and getting out of a bad relationship. It was a lot of work to renovate, pack, move, and then renovate more on the old house, but this was one of the best moves I have ever made for my own mental health, to be quite honest. There is nothing like realizing you have support around you, and I hope this podcast helps bring that to y'all as well. In the meantime, some community members had reached out to me asking, hey, what happened with the interviews? And said that they missed them, which made me realize how much I missed hosting them and providing that value to the community. So after I moved and got my office up and running again, I started them back up. I am so glad I did because we have had some amazing conversations since then. This new beginning felt like the perfect opportunity to rebrand and relaunch. We did some community voting and landed on the name Even Tacos Fall Apart. This name, to me, and it could be different for you, you take what you need from it, but to me, this name conveys that every person is impacted by mental health. Maybe you're living with a mental illness yourself. Maybe you know someone in the mental health field. Maybe, very likely, someone you know falls under that first category, whether you know it or not. The new name also says, yeah, sometimes we fall apart, but you know what? Tacos fall apart, and damn it, we love tacos. You just grab a second tortilla or some chips and scoop up the mess to still enjoy. That, to me, is what it's all about. Living life to its fullest and giving yourself the space to fall apart and the grace to pick yourself back up again with the help of those who love you. I caught COVID in very late 2022 during a work trip and wound up having a really scratchy voice and a bad cough for many months, which you may hear in some episodes. Because of that, I delayed recording this intro, but that brings us back to today. I hope this rebranded show brings you some joy and comfort, and that you're able to find at least one thing on the new website that is helpful to your own personal journey. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, review, rate, subscribe. Any support is super helpful, and all of that is free. Remember that your struggle is part of your story, not all of it. Even tacos fall apart, and we still love them, and I still love you.